Hello everyone, Nordic Beast here, and welcome to Space Engineers. So this is a room. Now this is a fighter room I've been working on lately, and it is all based on stuff that Dracul has done. In fact, the first time he and I met outside of a NID event, we went and shot at each other in a fighter battle of his design. So I decided, since we did recent vanilla fighter battle, that I would make a room for it. And I have, and we did a fighter battle in this the night before last. And that's a fighter based on that, which I'll get to that in a minute. So this is a survival ready hangar designed specifically for fighter battles. And there's also a red base over there, which is identical, just colored red. So you could have two teams. Every time you start, you have to make your factions for your teams, and then you can go from there. So this, my eventual design is I would like to make this into a scenario, and for this, because in scenarios you can now instant build, which, you know what, can I instant build? 8? Hold on, let me see. Projector. Show only buildable. I'm not seeing the instant build. Yeah, which I don't see the... It's... Yeah, projections remaining, 4 out of 5. Key projection. Oh, what a bummer. Anyway, so sorry about that. Yeah, which that's a fighter I've also built to the specifications for our little fight that we, little battles we've been doing, which I'll just go ahead and show off real quick. We have a nice battle area. No, it's not really much. Come on. There you go. You see the beacon kicking on. Which all this beacon is it's just an area to congregate around before going to your separate stations. Come on, there we go. And it just shows off the rules. So as you see here, rules: 4 large thrusters, 20 small thrusters, 5 weapons points, up to 5 Gatling guns, which you can replace 2 with rockets. So you can take out 2 Gatlings and put in 2 rockets, or you can take out 1 Gatling, put in 1 rocket, so on and so forth. Fully conveyed for survival, must have oxygen tank or generator, 20 minutes build time, light armor only. Now, the only thing I will eventually add to that is how much ammunition and fuel for your ships. So, red base is pretty much the same. I'll go ahead and swing by real fast. Actually, can I? Yeah, so you can see it's pretty much exactly the same. Alright, and then I have this area over here where it says stop building. That's it's part of a series of timers I have for the 20-minute build time, which I haven't reset it yet. That was me testing it. So this is my showcase area of all the fighters that we have built, which I'll go into a little detail about here. So our first battle that I was talking about, the rules were slightly different. Originally we were only allowed 5 Gatling guns, all same specifications otherwise, but then we went with rockets as well. We got 2 rocket pods each. And not only that speed things up, it actually allowed us to get kills as opposed to just, hurting each other until we slammed into each other. So this one was my design, the Nightjar. I went with an unfocused Gatling group, which actually worked out relatively well. It allowed me to scatter my shots a little bit more. And this fighter was fast. Really, really fast. So... then this was Falcus's fighter, the Dark Meme. This one had very focused firepower and was quite blocky but strong. It could take one hell of a hit. This was Lord Wiseman's, the Green Death. Yeah, Green Death. Also, very focused firepower. He went with a very minimalist design. Very few thrusters. It was actually quite nimble. Very maneuverable because of its lightweight. How much did this thing weigh? 13,000 kilograms. Yeah, that's by far the lightest. And the only issue was it didn't slow down very well because of the two thrusters here, and he had no conveyor, or I'm sorry, no connector. That was the only issue with this thing, was he had no connector on it. This was Dracula's, the P-59, the Death Striker. This thing was beastly. I mean, it looks like, we decided it looked like a mix between a muscle car and a sports car. And it flew really, really well. He definitely got his design ability back. So then the night before last, we went with a fighter battle, and it was mostly Dracul messing around, building stuff, and he built his fighter down there. I had already built this, and this is the Vengeance, which is based on a fighter from the game Colony Wars Vengeance, an old PlayStation 2 game, which I still have. The disc is sitting like 5 feet from me still. And had the same open nose design. I went with a collector in there. I'm sorry, my sinuses are really bad for some odd reason. I think it's we have a little bit of cold weather rolling into Michigan, even though it's freaking June, almost July. Anyway, so I showed this design originally to Anubis, and I was like, yeah, some people use ejectors and shoot out like stone and stuff. This could collect it. And he's like, it wouldn't work that way. Go right in your damn engines. Which, yeah, he's probably right. I still like the design. I built it around the nose and the collector design, and it still worked. It worked rather effectively. So as you see, I got the 4 Gatlings underneath. That took a little getting used to how far low the guns were, so you have to aim a little bit above your target, which means they'll be slightly below your nose. That's the only negative to this design that I could find. As you see, I have a hidden... Well, my voice just cracked there. I have a hidden little rocket launcher. Also, back here, like right about here, I have my gyros. I have 2, one on either side. And that turned out to be a problem. I tested this against another Nidite named Orange. He hit me in the nose and took out my gyros. And he had no engines, I had no gyros. So I just kind of took off like a bat out of hell in a random direction, so he couldn't shoot me, even though he could still maneuver. He just couldn't go anywhere. So I added another gyro back here, which ended up being helpful in a later battle where my nose and guns and everything were gone, but I still had a rear gyro. Scratch that, I still had 2 guns. But I still lost that fight against a Dracul, actually. So this thing, like I said, very durable, very fast, and maneuverable. I really liked it. This is a good design. This one here is Wiseman's new fighter, which is called the Monolith. Overall, his was the heaviest. The only critique about it was he had no rocket launcher, and he had these Gatlings just a little too close to the nose. If I was him, I would have put him out 1 block. But other than that, I definitely like the design. It's very durable. It's very tough. It's, like I said, it's the heaviest and has the least amount of acceleration, but it still has quite a bit of thrusters. And I kind of feel bad. In our battle, he took quite a few shots straight to the cockpit. So he he did get kicked around a little bit. But his fighter was pretty maneuverable. I believe he had 4 gyros in this thing. Whoops, sorry. Let's see. I think so. Dude. There we go. Yeah, 4 gyros. So he was actually able to maneuver quite well with this thing. And he could stop faster than the rest of us. So he had the advantage there. But like I said, we got him with a couple of lucky rocket shots. Poor guy. So I left the best for last. This was Dracula's new design, the Ares. And I absolutely swoon over this fighter. So it's semi-reactor and semi-battery powered. He has 2 I can speak English, I swear. 2 reactor packs and a battery right back here, along with a oxygen generator. He went with the smaller fit, which for the smaller fighter I think was a good idea. So you see he's got very focused firepower with 3 Gatlings and 2 rocket launchers, and a lot of thrust. This thing I think is about 18,000 kilograms, 4 large thrusters and 3 small thrusters. This thing takes off. And it also has good stopping power with 6 reverse thrusters. And then he's got 4 on top and 3 on bottom. And I love this thing. copied it and put one in my colors. And I was like, look, I'm stealing your fighter. And I named it the Mars instead of the Ares. For those who know mythology, Ares is the Greek representation of that god, and Mars was the Roman. So pretty much the same god. But yeah, this thing, I kind of felt bad at first because Dracul took barely any damage, like just his cockpit exploded pretty much the first 2 rounds. Third round, though, this thing took 3 rocket shots and a hail of gunfire from me, and he still won. He won. He had, I think, 2 or 3 of his large engines on fire. This side of his ship was pretty much gone, and he only had 1 Gatling and both rocket launchers, and he still won. He was on fire, and he won against the Vengeance. So this thing is impressive. I absolutely love this ship. So with that being said, I tried to remodel it with 2 batteries instead, but I had to move the cockpit up 1 block, and it didn't look right. So I didn't go with the design. Instead, I decided to build the fighter you saw me moving around in, which is aesthetically based on his. It's got like the little winglets and all that, the nose-mounted cannons, which I didn't want to go with the same design as his. I plagiarized, but not 100%. So the reason I built this fighter, though, as I mentioned in a previous video, in the NID, cargo ships keep coming close to the bases and shooting them up. So I'm going to build a fighter hangar, like a fighter hangar base. And this is going to be the NID fighter, which I believe I named, NID? The NID Fire. The N1 NID Fire. So it does take a little getting used to because it is light. It's 16,500 kilograms. And it accelerates very fast. 0 to 105 in about 3.5 seconds. Now, its issue is it only has 2 side thrusters on either side. So it kind of drifts. It'll take anyone who's not used to these style of fighters, it'll take a good hot second to get used to. And even with 8 reverse thrusters, it still takes a good moment to stop compared to how fast it accelerates. So that's another issue. But the biggest issue is the Gatlings, and it's just these 2 bottom ones. You have to be very careful when at high speed. If you nose down, it will take off a chunk of your nose. So do not nose down at high speed. At low speed, if you stop your fighter and you shoot, it doesn't hit your nose at all. You're good. It's only at high velocities does that become an issue. So just don't nose over, which these are meant to be used against the cargo ships. So you should be fine. Just shoot and then maneuver out of the way. And that's probably your best bet. So otherwise, this thing actually has really good performance. And then also, if you notice on the toolbar down below, you go over to the first toolbar. It's your antenna, your beacon, your recharging of batteries, and also your connector on and off. The last 2 I'll explain in a minute. Then you go to bar 2, it's your Gatling guns, and then your second one is your rockets, but it's your fire once. So you can still shoot and fire your rocket at the same time. And then, of course, 3 is your camera. Gotta have a camera. So to go back to this, 5 is a sensor and 6 is a timer. And the reason for that is this ship has a remote block tucked away under here. And the purpose of the remote block is when you get close to the fighter, your sensor will kick on and it starts the timer. After 1 hour, the timer will activate the remote block and return the fighter to the fighter hangar. So that if you die for whatever reason and you can't get back to the fighter, you don't know where it is, the fighter will return on its own. Which I think is a very, very valuable resource. Why am I missing a thruster? Okay, this happened earlier. This is an issue. I've seen this before, but it only does it to this one and not that one over there. What the fuck? So anyway, I'll go ahead and fix that goddamn problem, and this will be the NID fighter. Wow, why did it do that? Anyway, so if you guys are enjoying my channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy the episode, please hit the like button, and I will see you guys next time.